confirmation over the weekend. The person in charge of administering your traffic fines has in fact been suspended. The CEO of the Road Traffic Infringement Agency, Japh Chuwe, was suspended after the Auditor-General said there was evidence of serious maladministration in the agency. You can imagine the message this sends when so few people pay their traffic fines already. Howard Dembovsky is the chair of the Justice Project South Africa. Howard, good afternoon to you. What do we know about what Japh Chuwe has been accused of doing?
Good afternoon to you, Stephen, and to the viewers. Well, we don't know a heck of a lot, apart from the media release that was put out by the Road Traffic Infringement Agency, saying that the Auditor-General had found huge problems with the Road Traffic Infringement Agency's audit. And as a result of this, Mr. Chuwe and other senior executives at the RTIA have been put on precautionary suspension. And that's about as much as we know at this stage. But I think that, it does undermine public confidence when you have the most senior person in the Road Traffic Infringement Agency very clearly standing accused of some kind of financial mismanagement, because they refer to it as maladministration. And that suggests even more than just mismanagement. It suggests quite a lot more, actually.
As I understand it, the agency actually hasn't published a proper annual report for a couple of years. I mean, that's a bit of a warning sign, really. If an organization, an infringement agency like this, doesn't publish an annual report, you know there's a problem.
Well, the 2018-19 annual report was actually published, but this is the 2019-20 annual report, which should have been published long ago already. And, the fact that it hasn't been published has to mean that there was a serious problem with that report.
Have the internal problems in the agency had an impact on the administration of traffic fines? I mean, does this actually affect drivers? Is it even possible to know?
Well, it's not really possible to know, but, for a very long time now, the Road Traffic Infringement Agency has not actually been doing what it is supposed to do, in as much as issuing courtesy letters after 10 days of posting of infringement notices, which is the presumed date of service of an infringement notice. But I don't think I need to tell any of the viewers that that's a very ambitious presumption. It doesn't appear that the Road Traffic Infringement Agency and, in fact, its registrar have been applying the rules uniformly, in as much as courtesy letters don't get issued, and then some people see courtesy letters being issued and no enforcement orders being issued. And the first time people find out about their traffic fines is when they go to renew their driving license card, their professional driving permit, or their vehicle license disc. And, one can blame the South African Post Office for this, and firmly blame them for it. But, this, I think, is why the ARTA Amendment Act also considers something called electronic service. But who's to say that that's going to be any more efficient, to be very frank with you?
I mean, in a way, this is quite a technical area that involves money and the law. It really has to be done correctly, because everything could end up before a judge or a magistrate at some point. I mean, this is the kind of agency, I suppose it's a bit like SARS, actually. It absolutely has to work.
Well, it absolutely does have to work. And, especially considering that you're not entitled to a trial under the ARTA Amendment Act. And they put very serious restrictions on you with having to apply to have a decision of a representations officer reviewed if that representations officer happens to reject your written representation. And then if the tribunal dismisses your appeal or review of the representations officer, then you must, within 7 days, make application to the magistrate's court for reveal or review of the tribunal's decision. Nowhere in this is the idea of a traffic officer proving his allegation or his or her allegation against you even contemplated. It's all review and appeal processes.
There have been some changes that are coming through. There's a proposed, I think it's called an administration fee. There seems to be a sort of penalty fee. I've got to tell you at this stage, Howard, I don't understand these fees. But I mean, how important are these changes? Are they going to make a material difference to how we're fined?
Well, to be very frank with you, this nonsense about the ARTA Act having anything to do with road safety is precisely nonsense. And let me tell you why. If you look at one of the most serious offences that is contemplated in Schedule 3, that's driving under the influence of alcohol, the demerit points that get applied, if you are prosecuted, and there you do get prosecuted because it's not an infringement, that's a criminal offence. And if you do get convicted by that criminal court may only impose 6 demerit points against your driving license card. So in other words, you have to be convicted 9 times before your driving license gets cancelled. Now, what's that got to do with road safety, I ask you?
In the meantime, I mean, are people paying their taxes? You make the point that the first time most people know they have pay their taxes. Of course they are. They're paying their fines. You make the point that the first time most people know that they actually have a fine is when they go for their license disc.
Well, that was a bit of a Freudian slip if I've ever heard one, because that's what traffic fines have been turned into. They are some form of stealth tax. The vast majority of them are, in fact, camera-based speeding fines, where they pop these things off to you in the post. And very little physical enforcement actually takes place. So the answer to your question is, again, we don't know. The last time that the Road Traffic Infringement Agency published any kind of statistic with respect to the percentage of people who pay their traffic fines under the ARTO system, it was somewhere around 7.4% of all infringement notices getting paid at any stage. And government is complaining about the fact that under the Criminal Procedure Act, only about 20% of traffic fines are paid. So one wonders why one would want to forge ahead with this system that does, well, it clearly doesn't work. There's a lower collection rate. But once again, we don't know, because the last time that the RTIA included that in its annual report, it made headlines that, hey, this is not doing better than the Criminal Procedure Act.
Howard Dembovsky, thank you, Chair of the Justice Project South Africa. Really do appreciate the time. I appreciate the point you made about a Freudian slip. How's your fine? Taxing. How's your tax? Fine, I suppose, is one way that you could look at it. Well, we'll move away from traffic fines.